Hello, class. Today I am interviewing Peter Williams. Peter is the Curriculum Development Director for BYU Idaho's Online Curriculum Development Department. So thank you, Peter, for taking the time to speak with me today and to teach our class a little bit about BYU Idaho's online learning program.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Happy to talk.
Thank you so much. So I guess my first question would be, can you tell the class a little bit about your job role and what you do for the online learning program there?
Sure. So as a Curriculum Development Director, I oversee 12 curriculum designers as well as 3 instructional media developers, and we have a team of about 35 assistant instructional designers that are students, and we work with faculty all across campus. At any given time, we're working with about 75 different faculty. There'd usually be about a third of those that we're working with fairly intensely on developing an online course with them, and the others we would be supporting them through the other parts of the process in either an analysis or prepare phase or in review or piloting phase.
Fantastic. Thank you. So when I was, so just so the class knows, I worked for BYU Idaho as a student there, actually, one of the student employees Peter was just talking about, helping to develop some of these online courses, and I loved it. And I noticed some things that made the program unique, maybe that made it stand out from some other universities who are doing online education. So, Peter, can you tell us just a little, I guess maybe describe your approach to online learning and maybe highlight a couple of things that make it unique from what other universities are doing right now?
Sure. In terms of our model, we have online courses, we have a pathway program, which is kind of a college on-ramp program that has online courses with local gatherings. And then we have some blended courses here on campus and some competency-based courses. Very few of those right now. Probably won't have too many. And then I can tell you a little bit about what we said about MOOCs, but let me drill in a little bit more to the online section because that's kind of the part that we focus most on here. So in terms of our model, we're a cohort semester-based model rather than a self-paced model. We have a collaborative model where students and instructors interact deeply throughout the semester with each other, and we refer to a regular part of our learning model as teach one another. So it's kind of a flipped classroom approach, if you can have that online, where students are expected to prepare for their collaborative experiences, either with small groups or in class discussion forums and things like that, so that students are prepared to teach one another, and we try and encourage and bring that out in the students. We work with remote adjunct faculty to teach the online courses rather than our local faculty, although local faculty do teach a few of them. 99% of them are taught by remote adjunct faculty. We have an average instructor-to-student ratio of about 1 to 45. So about 45 students in the class on average. We don't have any classes larger than 50. And those that do have more generally have some TA kind of help or other things that help keep a real high-touch feel. That's one of the hallmarks of BYU Idaho education that we want to keep as we grow is a high-touch feel. We have a centralized collaborative course development process and online learning organization. So the centralized part means that we have full-time administrators who wake up thinking about online course development and what kind of a schedule we're on and guiding faculty through a process and rigor and linking them to resources and teams. It's collaborative in that it's not independent or separated from the university. We have integrated curriculum so that the full-time faculty on campus are the authors for the courses, and they set the outcomes and the assessments for the course, and they will be the same outcomes and assessments for the face-to-face sections and the online sections of the course, although the activities will be adapted to the delivery mode. We have centralized forecasting, hiring, contracting, all those things are centralized, but the department chairs and deans participate in the hiring process in terms of screening through faculty or interviewing and those kinds of things. But in addition to those things, the online instructors go through an online facilitation course as part of their evaluation. They go through an online certification course once they are hired to teach, and so there's collaborative effort around that as well. Let's see. We're undergraduate, not graduate programs. Let's see. In terms of like criterion or norm reference, kind of an approach, I would say that most of our courses tend to be criterion referenced more than norm referenced, although that does depend a little bit on the discipline. So for like pre-med and some of those kinds of areas, they tend to have more norm referenced, approach and exams and things like that. We're pretty heavy on projects, and we try and keep it as authentic and real-life experience and assessment as we can, although there are some activities and things that are more like quizzes or proctored exams. There are some of that, but less. We tend to be more on the project side. What other things do you want to know about a model?
I guess one difference that I see between BYU Idaho's model and program versus some others that I've seen, even here at Utah State, the program that they use is when developing online courses, it's really based on the faculty here who are designing those courses, but then they're also the ones who teach it. And you mentioned a little bit about that and how you hire adjunct faculty to teach the majority of the online courses. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to go that direction versus how most universities do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, so you can only take so much blood out of a turnip, we've found. And so we could talk a little bit more about numbers and stuff for the university, but we've grown very, very fast. And growing that fast, there's just no way that we could bring that many faculty to Rexburg or expect to take that out of the faculty that are already here. In order to grow, we have to take advantage of a remote workforce. So we work with a limited liability company that has business presence in 13 states, I believe, right now. And working with that, we have remote adjuncts who are all over the country. And in many cases, it extends and deepens our capacity to have effective instruction because in many cases, so they all have at least a master's degree, and many of them are practitioners in the field, so they're teaching in. And they're teaching one course on the side, in evenings and lunchtime and stuff like that, Saturdays. And they're doing that as a way of giving back to their fields and as a way of keeping a foot in the door and keeping fresh and abreast of the things happening in their fields. And so they tend to be very dedicated, and they also have lots of practical experience that they can bring in their discussions and things. So it's a great model for both the students and instructors in BYU Idaho. Great.
Thank you. I think another thing that at least I found interesting is, so not only do you have these adjunct faculty teaching all the courses, but the adjunct faculty don't have any really responsibility in the design of the course. I guess my question is, how does that help with the quality control? Do you
Sure.
see a difference in that? Even though you might have 10 different instructors all teaching English 101, does that make sense what I'm kind of...
Right, keep them connected together.
Yeah.
Great question. So this is... You've honed in actually on just a sweet spot where we've experienced some of our greatest success and also where we have our frontier of things that we're still really learning and have struggles and wrestles to work through all the time. And that is in having enough connection. We want the campus faculty who help develop these courses and set the outcomes and things like that to be in close connection and contact with the remote instructors. But yet, with the growth rate that I talked about, it can be big, and that could be a big side job for these faculty to try and stay in contact with those instructors. So what we've got with the centralized instruction department that works with these remote adjuncts, they have teaching group leaders, over 10 or so instructors. They have course leads. There's one course lead who is a specialist of each course and directs the group of who's a campus faculty, and they work with an online course representative who represents all the online instructors teaching that course, and they collaborate together. Once or twice a semester they'll have a meeting, or they'll have some equivalent strand of forum and online discussion things that they have, where they're talking about which things are working well in the course and which things they'd like to see improved about the course and ideas and suggestions to improve the course. And we found that really helps. They're working together to improve the course over time. And it doesn't take very many of those visits. Like I said before, the campus department chair and some of his faculty would be helping to select the remote adjuncts that we hire. They certainly would have veto rights on anybody that we would hire too. They have to be what the department would like. We also try and help make sure that they're effective online facilitators. But anyways, they would work together and they build relationships just deeply as they work on improving the courses together. So that helps create the integration that we'd like with campus, the support for those instructors. They feel a part of the department even that they're teaching for, and the progression of the course. And I guess one last thing that I'll mention on this is just that the frontier that I mentioned and some of the wrestles and challenges that we have, I'm describing things as we ideally hope to have them, and some course councils are stronger than others. And we have to kind of do a little bit of mediation work sometimes to help them connect and reach out often enough, or to help get things more manageable, where you have a remote adjunct who's overly anxious about improving the course, maybe wants to be hyperactive with their course council on the things that are improving about the course. Anyways, we have to help moderate those relations just a little bit and help them strike the right balance.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. You've mentioned a couple of challenges with your online program. What are some other challenges that you are either currently facing, or I guess that you're trying to solve, maybe unique to BYU Idaho, but maybe online learning everywhere right now?
Sure. Well, I'd say, to lead out just a little bit, I guess, with some of the things that are working best. Usually when you look at strengths, you find right on the edge of the strength, there's your weakness. And I'd say that we've found that to be true. So it's a real strength for us that we have a centralized and coordinated online learning effort that has buy-in from President Clark, president of our university, and the Church Board of Education. And there's a lot of support from the top down on that. And without that centralized effort, I don't know how on earth we could grow so quickly. I maybe ought to just mention sort of where we're at for benchmark's sake. So BYU Idaho has about 15,500 students as a head count during any given semester. We have a 3-track system so that the campus is at full complement all 3 semesters of the year. But online, just this semester, we had 18,000 students head count.
Oh, wow.
So since 2008, when we launched, until now, we have more than doubled the head count of the university. That's how fast things are growing. Anyways, so with that, I don't know how we could accomplish that without that centralized and coordinated online learning effort. We have a centralized curriculum development department. We have a centralized online instruction department that oversees all of the remote adjuncts. They're not farmed out individually to department chairs to try and manage all of that growth. But we do try and stay very tightly coordinated with departments on the hiring and with departments on the performance of their remote adjunct faculty and all those kinds of things. So if you look right on the end of that strength, there are some of our challenges, trying to stay tightly knit enough with the academic leaders of the university so that department chairs feel comfortable, that they know who their faculty are, whether they're online or face-to-face, and that they feel like they are representing their department well and they're comfortable with how they're teaching. Anyway, so those are some of our strengths and challenges there.
Yeah.
Let's see. I would say developing infrastructure fast enough to support growth has been one of our biggest challenges in terms of IT systems or just remote adjunct recruiting and hiring, for example. We'll screen and interview through thousands of applicants every semester. Wow. From all over the country. And each of those has a process that has to be managed where we screen through some of those here according to the criteria the departments help define. We bring candidates to department chairs. They have to review them and interview them. We get their scores back. We put them through the facilitation course that I mentioned. It's a couple-week-long course. We do HR interviews with them. Anyways, collecting and just refining all that data, it's a good infrastructure challenge. Scheduling and contracting that many instructors. We have over 800 sections that we offered this semester. Last semester it was down at like 700. The semester before that it was probably down at like 600. So growing really fast.
Yeah.
But 800 sections and coordinating the schedules for the remote adjunct faculty on who's available and has been pre-qualified for the subject areas they teach in. All of those kinds of things can be a good logistical challenge that requires information systems. We have teaching groups, as I mentioned, for each of our instructors. We have about 600 instructors right now, and they're in groups of 10 or so in teaching groups, and then we have instructor managers over them. And so those managers who are remote adjuncts themselves in the field, they need access to the performance information and access to the courses for the instructors they supervise so that they can be in their courses and so they can get reports regularly with their instructors and things like that. And so there's some IT infrastructure challenges that we wrestle with.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great opportunity to chat with you. And if you give a plug to your class, by all means, please do it. We have several USU graduates here who have been tremendous benefit to our program, and with all that growth happening, we have opportunities and positions that open up. So be watching if you're interested.
I will. I'll keep my eye open. So.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.